Welcome to the Senior View. And today we have two very special people. And I think you're going to like this. It's about books. You know, a book can be a friend. Well, we're going to help you find a lot of friends through these two beautiful people that came on today. I'd like to introduce you to, first of all, Mary Arnaud, who runs the Senior Center Book Club. And we have Denise Coffrin, who does the book clubs for children at the Hopkinton Library. And so that is wonderful. That is just wonderful. You know, when you think of the many reasons why it's good to join a book club, I'm sure you can think of many reasons, and friendship and not being alone, and for children, learning how to be social, and before going off to school maybe. And I know, Denise, you have very young children, right?
Well, we do a 4th and 5th grade book group, a 6th grade book group presently, and our young adult librarian has started a young adult for 7th grade and up book group. And the history book group meets at the library.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good.
Of course, we do story times, you know, starting very young, and those are sort of the introductions to book groups, I think, for introducing children to different and new books and sharing the love of reading and books with them.
That's wonderful. There's so much good in it. And I see that you brought some books today.
I did. These are some of the favorites. Over the years, I've done the book group. I've been at the Hopkinton Library for 10 years, and I've done book groups for 9 of them. Mm-hmm. And I started with a 4th and 5th grade book group when I first came. Mm-hmm. And there were, by the end of their senior year, there were 4 girls who kind of stuck with me through that. And the very first book we read was The Penderwicks, which is an absolutely wonderful book. Even for adults, I think they would really enjoy this book. And the last book that we read with these girls who were seniors was the 4th one in the series. That's what they wanted to end with before they went off and graduated and went off to college.
Oh, my word.
And that made me feel really good.
Yes, yes. And what else do you have?
Well, Penderwicks is a wonderful story. It's about 4 sisters and their widowed father, and they go on vacation. It takes place in contemporary Massachusetts, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful family story. I've recommended this for the last 9 years that I've been at since it came out, and I have never had anybody come back and say they didn't love it, parents as well as children. The other one, which is a kind of a fun book, is called Moxie and the Art of Rule Breaking, and this was real popular with my book groups. It's about a girl, takes place in Boston, and uses the Gardner heist as part of the plot. And that's a fun one. This is a sadder story, but it is just absolutely wonderful. When I got to the end of this book, I was so sad because I had to leave the characters behind, and that to me tells me that it's a book that I just... Mm-hmm. But it takes place during World War II and about these 2 children who are evacuated to the countryside. And they've come from a horrible situation in London and are put with a woman who really doesn't want them, but in the end they become each other's salvation. And it's just a fabulous story. This is one this year. Both this one and this one were Newbery Honor books, but this is a really interesting story. It uses the conceit of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, that the author is at an inn and he hears the story of these 3 magical children, mm-hmm. and it takes place in medieval France. And it's based on a lot of legends, Joan of Arc and a few other legends that happened. It's historically accurate, but the way it's told, and there's a very big twist at the end, which was awesome. And we did this year in book group, and the girls really, really liked it. This was the 6th grade group. And the last one I brought that was really popular is called Masterminds. And Masterminds ends on this huge cliffhanger, and there are 2 more in the series which are now published. But when we read it, we had to wait. And it's about these children who live in this perfect town in Arizona. And everything is perfect, and they don't quite understand. And this one boy gets sent away, And the other group of kids is riding a bike one day, and they go beyond the town limits, and one of the boys gets violently ill, and they find out that some of them are part of a it's kind of a, what can I say, I'm losing my train of thought here.
That's okay.
They're part of a scientific experiment, and they find out they've been cloned from criminal masterminds. And in order to find out what happens to them, you have to read the book. All three.
That type of book has become so popular,
Yes.
from TV to movies and
And series are incredible because
Yes.
the children come in from Harry Potter on to Percy Jackson to Ranger's Apprentice. And it just keeps the kids coming in, which is wonderful for us. I think J.K. Rowling did a fabulous job. She has turned so many children on to reading and wanting to know more of the story.
Well, thank you. We'll get back to you, I promise. Mary, what's it like to have a book club at the Senior Center? I see you and I look through the window and everybody looks happy.
Well, it's an absolute delight to have a book club over there, and I want to say thank you for having me and Denise on the show today. The Senior Center Book Club is a small group right now, about 10. We meet on Mondays, the first Monday of the month at 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. in the Senior Center Library, which is very appropriate. We get some of ideas from there. And we just have a really good time. We've become very close, but we have room for more. So I want to encourage anybody that wants to join us, men and women alike, you're welcome. And it's just wonderful to have the book club and get to know everybody that's in it. At some point, I'll talk a little bit about some of the reading that we do and some of...
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. We started, I guess historically there had been a book club at the Senior Center for a number of years, and then it kind of ended when the leader of the group was no longer able to do it. And about a year and a half ago, they wanted to start another one up, and I said, well, I'm happy to be sort of a focal point and help make that happen. And so we started our book club. And one of the ways that we've decided to select our books every month is to just go around the room, and every person takes a different month, and they pick the book out that we're going to read. That gives us a real variety of types of books and authors
Wonderful.
and storylines. We've read things from historical novels about Bunker Hill, and we've read a novel about supposedly a true story about an alien abduction. We've read, of course, fictional stories by some of, Louise Penny, her first novel, Still Life, was very popular. So it's worked out very well. Everyone feels that they're part of the group when they get to select a book.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, do they pay for their books? I mean,
No, we get all the books for the children on interlibrary loan from other libraries.
Wonderful.
It's great. We're able to, if it's brand new, we usually wait a few months before we try to use it, but we can get anything for anybody in any book group by interlibrary loan. There's a number of book groups in town that they come into the library and say, this is the book we're reading, and we order it for them, adults and children.
what are the ages that, of the children, from the very young to the oldest, up into the teens, I suppose?
Right. Well, right now I have a 4th and 5th grade book group, and they come after school one day a month. I have a 6th grade book group, which again, we try to do it once a month after school. As they get older, it's harder to pull them in because there's so many things going on, but that's what we've tried. And we have a young adult book group that our young adult librarian has started. The history book group does meet at the library, and I think we're hoping once the new library is open that we can open it up to people who want to work on a book group and use the library as a setting. And I think our adult services librarian hopes to be running a book group at some point once we're in operation.
Oh, how fortunate we are to have that in Hopkinton.
Yes.
And,
Oh yes, we're very
'cause,
excited.
when I think I wrote down some ideas of what it would be like to join and why it's good to join a book group. You have good debates. I'm sure you have good debates.
Yes.
Yes, yes. You do it chapter by chapter, or
Well, I try to make it fairly loose. I say to the children when they sign up, this is not school. It is not a test. If you, I'd like you to finish the book, but if you don't quite finish it, still come. And we just want to talk about it. We talk about how it references their lives. Did they see themselves in any of the characters? Did they have a favorite character? Why did they like this? Did they think the book went along as they thought? Were there any surprises? And they have some really good insights. I'm very thrilled to listen to their point of view looking at it, because I'm reading it as an adult. And and I will say that some of the children's books I read I like more than some of the adult books I read. But I want to make it something that's fun for them. And we try to give them different types of books, different genres to expose them to things. Because some kids will come and say, well, I just like fantasy books. And I said, well, you got to try one of these mysteries, or try something that's a little more realistic fiction. And, it usually works. As I said, we try to vary it.
I see. And so everyone is welcome.
Oh, yes. Everybody is welcome.
Yeah. Do the parents come and stay with the children at all?
No.
Okay, that's good.
That's
good. Because when you think of it for children, they're meeting new friends,
yes,
right? Staying off the TV and cell phones, and learning to read well and feel confident when they go back to school. I would think that would really encourage maybe doing homework more and.
Well, it does encourage them, but however, for most of the children, and I think adults who join book groups, I don't know if you feel this, they're readers anyway, and every once in a while I'll get somebody who'll come because their friend is coming, and I think we've opened some other avenues for their friend, but a lot of times we're preaching to the choir. We are.
But they're learning to be social.
Oh, yes. And, I tell them I have very few rules, but the one rule is if somebody's speaking, we all listen.
Very good.
And that's...
So it's a safe place.
Yes.
To view your feelings, and that's what it's all about.
And I also tell the children, when I usually suggest the books, and then every once in a while I have them decide to pick something, but I say to them, it's okay if you didn't like the book. It's all right, because that's why there are so many books out there, because they don't appeal to everybody. But say, why didn't you like the book? What was it about it that you didn't like? But again, it's all right. I think a lot of us find a book we've read for a book group, and it maybe wasn't our cup of tea, but it still was worth,
Yes, you get something
reading.
Out of it. You do.
Yes.
You do. Okay, very good. Thank you. Mary, being a senior myself, it gets you out of the house, right? And are you allowed to have coffee in there too?
We don't have refreshments at this point in time to keep the library neat and clean. Not that we'd be messy about it.
I know.
But I did want to make a point too that if you join the book club, you don't have to join it and come every month. You can come for any particular month that we might be reading a book you'd be interested in, because the wonderful team over at the Senior Center, particularly Amy, she always publishes the book in the newsletter ahead of time. So you can see, for any particular month what's coming up, and we try to give her 2 months, in advance of the books that we're going to be reading. And if there's a book on the schedule that you particularly like, then you can just come in and discuss that one if you want. Right now, everybody seems to come pretty much every month unless they have a vacation or something else that, that conflicts with the schedule. But look at the newsletter, take a look at what we're reading for the next couple of months, and if anything strikes your fancy, come on in. Or if you just want to give us some suggestions too, we welcome that. And we don't have rules. And we're probably not as ruly as these young people are, because once we all get starting to chat, it's a lot of fun. But we catch up with each other too, and that way it brings the group closer together. So we always start off with, well, what's been going on since the last time we've seen you, and a favorite topic is grandchildren.
Oh, yes.
Yes. A favorite topic is grandchildren. So they talk about the grandchildren, and I think it's so appropriate that both Denise and I are both here, because if they start off as young people reading. They'll carry that through their life. And I think it was Jackie Kennedy that at one point, one of our former First Ladies, of course, said that there are many ways to enlarge a child's world. Love of books is one of the best, or is the best of all, or something like that, she said. So if you start them out young, and Denise has the wonderful book clubs there at the library, they'll carry that through, and hopefully they'll become part of a senior book club at some point in their life, too.
So you're not just getting out of the house, but you're really developing friendships, and friendships with books. And because a book is like a friend. I don't know how many times I've said that, but it's so true. It's so true. And so everyone is welcome. You learn something new in all these new types of books that are out there, and you expand your communication skills.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
Definitely.
At all ages.
At all
It's
ages.
never
We
too
don't
late
stop,
to learn.
is it?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I'll vouch for that. And so, what books are popular? Do they choose a certain type of book? Being a senior, do they like the older authors like Jan Karan or Pilcher, or
Well, much like the children's group, we encourage them to read whatever book has been selected for the month, and not everybody likes it. Sometimes we have a very popular book, and everyone says, oh, it was wonderful, and other times, half the group will like it, half won't, or sometimes one person will like it and the rest of the group doesn't. It doesn't matter. The important thing is we come together, we discuss the book, we talk, we also catch up with each other, and we read a lot of different things. So just some of the books, I have a little list here. I don't have all the authors, but we read The Language of Flowers, which was a wonderful story about a troubled teen who gets kind of rescued by a woman that owns a flower shop, and how the author weaved the different flowers into the story.
Yes.
It was wonderful. And of course, we read the very popular book Unbroken, which was made into a movie about an American Olympian who is a soldier in World War II and gets captured by the Japanese, and he's tortured in his life. And that was a wonderful book, too.
And just as a note, they put a young adult version of that out that we have at the library, too,
Oh,
for the younger people.
Yeah. It was a very long book. I think it was 900 pages or something. I could not put it down. I read it in one day, so that was really good. I mentioned Louise Penny. She does mysteries. We read her first book in her series, Still Life. As I recall, that was pretty popular with everybody. A Man Called Ove has been a more recent one. People enjoyed that. Born a Crime was another one. I mentioned Bunker Hill. We all think we know a lot about the Revolution, and Bunker Hill just opened my eyes to some things that went on back then that I, hadn't learned in school. So we read lots of different genres, lots of, some are interesting to everybody, and some don't, like what we select. But they're good about reading it and coming in and discussing it. So.
and that's what they're there for.
Right.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
and everybody gets their
wonderful.
chance to pick a book for a particular month, and we go with it. So.
Yes. So that's wonderful. Oh, do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share? Or
Well, we're really looking forward to getting to the new library where we're going to have a little more space. And this year, we're a little constrained where we are, but we've been able to use St. John's so some of the kids could walk down after school. And they've been very nice letting us use some of the space there, which we're very grateful for. I think, to advertise that we're open, anybody can join the book groups. We're ending for the summer, and we're hoping to start up again in October when we're going to be hopefully in our new space. And we usually put things out, but this is great if anybody sees, if you have a child who's interested, please come and see us, and we would be very happy to order a book for them and get them into our book groups. And we do serve food. We have snacks because they're hungry when they come from school. So
are you open this summer?
We
'Cause you said
are
October.
we are open this summer. We're not sure when we will be closing down
Right.
to move.
Yes,
We are
yes.
doing summer reading, which is, it's usually our busiest time of year in
I
the
would
children's
think
room.
so.
Yes.
I would think so.
But we're not planning anything beyond the end of July right now because we're just not sure what's happening. But
Yes.
But
How
we will be open for
exciting.
books, and you can get anything you want out, and we will get it for you from another library if our copy is not there.
So the library is going to be like a community center,
Yes.
really, because you're going to allow other programs there too. I believe exercise. Did I hear?
I don't know anything about that, so I can't say that, but
Wow.
we do have the old church part will be the meeting room, and there will be space in there, and I think space can be used for a number of different things, so.
I'm glad
you know.
they kept that.
Oh, yes, well, and one of the first things we said as a staff is the stained glass window is non-negotiable, it will stay.
Yes,
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 yes.
I saw that.
Yes.
I'm so glad they kept it.
Yes, it should look amazing. We got a sneak peek for a tour a few weeks ago, and it's starting to look amazing. But we're going to have a activity room in the children's room, which we can do book groups in and story time and after school activities, and hoping for some clubs like a Lego club and maybe chess and some STEM
Wonderful.
things. So we're really
Wonderful.
looking forward to that.
You know, it's a nice place for a person to go to.
Well, I think
Yes.
so.
I'll be down.
Awesome.
And Mary, do you have any closing thoughts?
Oh,
Or-
actually, yes, I do have a few. First of all, I want to thank the Hopkinton Library because they're so instrumental in helping us get the books that we're going to read for the month. Some of our members of our Senior Center Book Club like to go out and get their own book, and they buy it and they want to keep it, and others like to have the books ordered through the library. So each month when we select our book, I put in an order with the library, and they go out and get the book for us. It's rare
Wonderful.
that, maybe if you picked a really popular one, we can't get it, so we try to have a backup sometime. But I also want to offer that for anyone who likes large print, they're generally able to get a copy in
Yes.
large print.
Good.
So that if you have a little trouble with your vision and need a little larger print, they can do that for us as well, which is wonderful. And
And a lot of times we can get it on an audiobook if there's somebody who really needs to listen to it.
Yes, and we have one of our members who's actually lives in Hopkinton, but lives a little closer to the Milford, line. And so the Hopkinton Library orders the book through the Milford Library for her, and then she's able to have it picked up at the Milford Library.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So they get books from all over so that everybody can have a copy.
So it's community teamwork.
Yes, it is.
And
yes.
I guess we don't have snacks because it's right after breakfast and just before lunch. I did try to bring in some cookies one time, but they're not hungry then, so we don't have that. But I will say
Okay.
that we are going to meet during the summer.
Good, I was gonna
Generally,
ask.
we meet all year round. If the first Monday of the month falls on a holiday, then we pick another day that everybody can make it, or at least most members can make it. It might be the
That's good.
second Monday or another day for that month.
Wonderful.
But
Wonderful.
generally, the group wants to meet during the summer as well. Sometimes it's a little smaller group because of vacations, but we try to meet every month
Good.
around the calendar. So
Good.
I invite everybody to come down and join us. We're
Okay.
in the library there at the Senior Center.
Well, thank you so much, Mary and Denise.
Oh, our pleasure.
You're so valuable to both places, the library and the senior center, and thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you,
Think
because
of the
again,
joy
lifelong
that
learning.
you're bringing
yeah.
into people's lives. What a gift, and the gift that you are giving.
you,
So
Mary.
we hope you enjoyed watching us today. We hope you consider coming up and trying. If you have children, to take them to the library and see Denise. And if you're a senior, come on up to the senior center and see Mary. And if you do get the Hilltopper, and I hope you do, read it and see if it's something that might inspire you, the book that they choose for the month. So thank you for watching, and you have a good night.
what it takes.
Will you make a difference?
Always an adventure.
Police and fire working together.
Utilizing the latest technology.
Do you have what it takes?
Have you ever considered texting and driving? If so, you should know the consequences. If caught texting and driving for the first time, you could get an $100 fine plus your license taken away for 60 days. The consequences only get worse the more you get caught. Even if you don't get caught, there could be serious effects. You could get into a car accident and hurt yourself or someone else. Texting and driving is a very dangerous combination, so stop before this happens to you.
Welcome to the Senior View. And today we have some very special guests who do some very special work.
We've done a lot of charity quilts. We've done quilts for veterans. We've done quilts for the Serenity House.
So we try to figure out what are your goals, what's your time frame, what's your motivation for moving, what's the situation with the house.
I love to be beside the sun, beside the sea, beside the seaside, by the beautiful sea.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Peralt, host of the program Meet Your Neighbor on HCAM TV.
Kids got so much on their plate, and they're traveling here and they're traveling there.
You know, they still need help from time to time.
My father always was outdoors. I mean, he grew up, he had pet baby squirrels.
This show introduces you to Hopkinton residents, the many interesting people who are our neighbors, and we invite them to share stories, experiences, insights, and observations from their lives.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always lock it up.